The Odyssey ending changes explain every major difference from Homer's epic. Warning: this video contains major spoilers for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. If you've just watched Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, you probably noticed something surprising. The movie follows Homer's epic poem remarkably closely for most of its runtime. We see Odysseus survive the Trojan War, outsmart the Cyclops, resist the Sirens, escape Circe, endure the wrath of Poseidon, and finally make his way back to Ithaca after 20 long years. But when the story reaches its final act, Christopher Nolan begins making some major changes. These aren't small alterations made for pacing or modern audiences. They're fundamental changes that completely transform the meaning of the ending. Instead of telling a story about simply returning home, Nolan turns the Odyssey into a deeply emotional reflection on war, guilt, redemption, and what it truly means to find peace. So, let's break down every major ending change and why Christopher Nolan made them. Change number 1. Odysseus doesn't stay king of Ithaca. Let's start with the biggest surprise. In Homer's Odyssey, after defeating the suitors, Odysseus reclaims his throne. With Athena's help, peace is restored, and he continues ruling Ithaca as its rightful king. Christopher Nolan changes that ending completely. After reclaiming his kingdom, Odysseus realizes he is no longer the man who left for Troy 20 years earlier. War has changed him. Loss has changed him. The long journey home has changed him. Rather than reclaiming power, he chooses to step away from it. Instead of remaining king, he passes the throne to Telemachus. It's one of the film's most emotional moments because it shows that Odysseus finally understands something he never did during the Trojan War. Sometimes leadership means knowing when to let someone else lead. For Nolan, this isn't a defeat. It's Odysseus' greatest act of wisdom. Change number 2. Telemachus becomes the future of Ithaca. In Homer's poem, Telemachus certainly grows into adulthood and helps his father defeat the suitors, but Odysseus remains king. The movie gives Telemachus a much larger role. Christopher Nolan transforms him into the symbol of Ithaca's future. Throughout the story, Athena prepares Telemachus to become a leader rather than simply the son of a legendary hero. His journey isn't just about finding Odysseus'. It's about discovering his own identity. By the end of the film, Telemachus has earned the right to rule. He doesn't inherit the kingdom simply because he's Odysseus' son. He earns it through courage, sacrifice, and leadership. That makes his character arc one of the most satisfying in the movie. Change number 3. Penelope leaves Ithaca. Another major departure involves Penelope. Traditionally, Penelope remains queen of Ithaca after Odysseus returns. The reunion represents the restoration of order. Christopher Nolan takes a different approach. Instead of remaining behind to rule beside Odysseus, Penelope chooses to leave Ithaca with him. At first, this decision feels unexpected. After waiting 20 years, why would she abandon the kingdom she fought so hard to protect? The answer lies in Nolan's interpretation of their relationship. Penelope doesn't choose power. She chooses Odysseus. After decades of separation, politics no longer matters to either of them. For the first time since the Trojan War began, they're free to simply be husband and wife instead of king and queen. Their final voyage isn't another adventure. It's a search for peace. Change number 4. The gods no longer control the ending. One of the biggest philosophical differences comes from the role of the gods. In Homer's original poem, Athena steps in after the battle with the suitors to stop another civil war from breaking out. She convinces everyone to forgive the past, and Zeus supports her decision. Divine intervention restores peace. Christopher Nolan removes most of that resolution. Instead of relying on the gods to solve humanity's problems, people must face the consequences of their own choices. Odysseus doesn't receive redemption because Athena grants it. He earns redemption through sacrifice. This makes the ending feel much more human and emotionally grounded. It's also very consistent with Christopher Nolan's storytelling style. His films often focus on personal responsibility rather than destiny. Change number 5. The Trojan horse carries lasting consequences. In Homer's epic, the Trojan horse is remembered as Odysseus' greatest triumph. Christopher Nolan presents it very differently. Throughout the film, Odysseus is haunted by what happened at Troy. Thousands died because of the strategy he created. Although history celebrates him as a genius, he struggles to celebrate himself. The war never truly ends for him. This emotional burden becomes one of the main reasons he ultimately walks away from the throne. He no longer believes victory alone makes someone worthy to rule. Change number 6. The journey becomes internal. In Homer's Odyssey, the greatest challenge is reaching home. Christopher Nolan shifts the focus. For him, getting home is only half the journey. The harder challenge is learning how to live with everything that happened along the way. Odysseus defeats monsters. He survives impossible storms. He escapes gods and mythical creatures. But the one enemy he cannot easily overcome is himself, his guilt, his memories. That's why the ending feels so different. The final battle isn't against Antinous. It's against the man Odysseus has become after 20 years of war. Change number 7. The final voyage means something new. Perhaps the most beautiful change is the final image of the film. Instead of ending with Odysseus sitting triumphantly on his throne, Nolan shows him sailing away once again. At first, this seems heartbreaking. Why leave after everything he sacrificed? Because this time, he's sailing for an entirely different reason. His first journey was driven by survival. His second journey is driven by peace. He's no longer trying to defeat anyone. He's no longer chasing glory. He's finally searching for something far more valuable: forgiveness. Not from the gods, not from history, but from himself. That final voyage becomes a symbol of emotional healing instead of endless adventure. Why Christopher Nolan changed the ending. So why make all these changes? Because Christopher Nolan wasn't interested in simply retelling Homer's poem. He wanted to reinterpret it for a modern audience. Today's viewers understand the psychological effects of war much better than people did thousands of years ago. We know that soldiers don't simply return home unchanged. Many carry invisible scars for the rest of their lives. Nolan brings that idea into Greek mythology. Odysseus doesn't come home as the same triumphant hero. He comes home as a man searching for redemption. That single change transforms the entire meaning of the Odyssey. Instead of asking whether someone can survive the journey home, the movie asks whether someone can ever truly recover from war. And that may be Christopher Nolan's most powerful contribution to this timeless story. Final thoughts. Some fans will always prefer Homer's original ending, where Odysseus reclaims his throne and peace is restored through the guidance of the gods. Others will appreciate Nolan's more emotional and human interpretation, where redemption comes not through victory, but through sacrifice, acceptance, and letting go. Whichever version you prefer, one thing is certain. Christopher Nolan didn't change the ending simply to surprise audiences. He changed it to give one of history's greatest stories a completely new emotional meaning, one that reflects the cost of war, the burden of leadership, and the difficult path toward inner peace. So, what do you think? Did Christopher Nolan improve the ending of the Odyssey, or do you prefer Homer's original conclusion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more The Odyssey Ending Explained videos, hidden details, Greek mythology breakdowns, and Christopher Nolan analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.